Fireworks are a big part of our Independence Day celebrations, and while it's fun to enjoy them, there are a few things to keep in mind when it comes to safety.
That's right. Dr. Kalpana De Pasquale is the founder and a physician at St. Augustine Ear, Nose, and Throat. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, you know, it's interesting when we think about 4th of July and we think about fireworks, we're all interested in how pretty it looks, but I never really thought about how loud they were.
I know, it's really important though, because we are so excited. It's such a fun holiday, and we don't often think about how loud fireworks are. The fireworks display is usually about 150 to 175 decibels. It's pretty loud. The World Health Organization recommends not being exposed to more than 140 for adults and 120 for kids.
120 what?
Decibels.
Decibels.
I'm sorry, yes.
So let's talk about the specifics when it comes to fireworks and how far away we should be. How do we know if we're too close? How do we know if it's damaging our hearing?
So the important things to remember is, number one, how loud it is. So we know the firework range is about 150 to 175. It's hard to know exactly. I was talking to somebody and they were telling me about this app on the phone that might give us an idea, which is kind of exciting. But also it's very important to remember that the distance away from the fireworks makes a big difference also. So for example, for adults it's recommended to be about 20 meters away, for children about 60 meters away. And really infants shouldn't be exposed to these kind of loud noises at all.
And why is that? What kind of problems could something like this cause?
Well, we have to remember that hearing is a blessing, and it allows us to be part of our world and experience and enjoy life. And without taking proper care of it, things can happen. So for example, after something like the fireworks, you can experience something called a temporary threshold shift. So these people may feel a little buzzing, ringing, fullness, and it'll just last for about 24 hours, and thank goodness will return usually very shortly after. Otherwise, you can have permanent hearing loss or permanent ringing, and those things unfortunately are not reversible.
Yeah, you've heard the commercial and seen about tinnitus,
yes,
or the ringing, the constant, and people deal with that every day. And I can't even imagine what that would be like. How do we make sure that we're protecting our hearing, or we need to make sure we're far enough away from the fireworks first and foremost, but are there other things that we should be keeping in mind?
Absolutely. We can do a lot of different things. You can buy some of those little foam earplugs over the counter at the grocery store, at the CVS. Also, you can wear those bigger hearing devices to protect, but I would say for something short-lived, you know, those little ones you can buy over the counter are probably fine.
So if you're thinking that maybe you've experienced some hearing loss or you've got some ringing, what are the things that you specialize in that you can help folks with?
Well, first of all, you know, when you make an appointment, you see one of our providers, and first we'll do a very thorough history documenting how long the hearing loss has been going on, when you notice it, et cetera, a thorough physical exam just to make sure there's nothing else wrong, infections, wax, etc. And then from there, we would do a hearing test, and that hearing test will tell us, number one, if you have a hearing loss, if so, is it a conductive or sensory neural, and then how severe that hearing loss is, so that we can make the appropriate recommendations from there.
And so would you recommend someone who suspects that they might be having a hearing loss or a problem to come and see you and get the test to see if they need to possibly get a hearing aid? And let's also talk about the hearing aids, because you brought some with you today.
Yes, yes. So people really should be evaluated. Oftentimes they're embarrassed. They make excuses that they don't want to hear, and maybe they hear when it's very quiet, or they just don't hear certain people, or people are mumbling. Any of those things can be a sign of hearing loss. So if you have any, or you or a loved one experience any of those symptoms, great to just get checked, that we know for sure. Often people are also reluctant because they don't want to be diagnosed with a hearing loss, because that might mean that they need a hearing aid, and they feel that hearing aids are unsightly, large, and they don't work. The technology has improved so much in the last several years that something so tiny like this can work very, very effectively, and it's not as unsightly.
It looks like everybody walks around now with a giant Bluetooth in your ear. That
right.
To me,
you can't even see that. You're actually wearing
yes,
one, and
I'm
I
actually
didn't
wearing
know
them right
until
here.
you said something. You're like, oh yeah, I'm wearing one today just to show, you know, that to the naked eye, it's pretty much
invisible. And they're really
invisible.
small and comfortable, lightweight. They're just much, much different than what they used to be. So there shouldn't be such a stigma about it. I mean, it doesn't allow us to participate in life when you can't hear your grandchildren, when you can't hear your children, when you can't hear your family members, your friends. It really puts us at a very big disadvantage.
Well, funny, we were joking before the show started that sometimes, you know, husbands, we blame them that they have selective hearing and they don't listen to their wives, but you said there's actually some truth to that sometimes husbands cannot hear their wives. They can hear other people, but cannot hear their wives.
Right.
You have to explain that.
So the reason behind that is most people, as they start to lose their hearing, they'll lose it in the higher frequencies. So men who can't hear their wives, especially if their wives have a higher pitched voice, they may not actually be able to hear the wife. And of course, I'm sure the wife's getting upset if he's not listening to me.
Duly noted.
So it may be something that just needs to be checked, and just, if it's not there, great, wonderful. It's easy to fix and easy to figure out in a quick, simple test.
Then it's become selective hearing, not
Then
actual hearing loss.
you know for sure this way.
Yes.
All right. Well,
We got to go. We ran out of time. Thank you so much for being here. We really do appreciate it. But we want to give people information if they want to schedule an appointment with you, go and have a hearing test and kind of learn more about where they are. And thank you so much to Dr. DePasquale for the advice and for sponsoring the segment. Again, to book an appointment or to learn more about St. Augustine ear, nose, and throat, you can do so by visiting the website, which is there on your screen, which is SAENT, so say SAENT.net, or you can call them 904-461-6060. You can also keep up with Dr. DePasquale on Twitter. Follow @Dr. DePasquale, and all of the information again is there on the screen.